It's time for the new gods of Japan to take over. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panel, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. At the end of our last book, Rori and the rest of the Wayward children fought off the Tengu, and they finally had been reunited once again. During their last stand, Rori called out telling everyone that they will soon wipe out all of their enemies, because they are the new gods of Japan. 3 months later, after Rori's battle, a man walks the busy streets of Japan thinking about how this lane is their home. But lately, all he can do is feel rage churning inside. Things are changing and he can no longer control them. Since his ancestors worked so hard to create peace, it is now up to him to maintain it. Folktales became shadows, and those shadows became the yokai. And he is the Nayori Hayan, and now their life is on the edge of extinction because of these children. However, back then, shortly after the battle with the Tengu, Rori collapsed after exerting her power using the ribbons, and the dirt spiders carried her body back into hiding. One of the spiders stated that their friend has great power with no knowledge of how to temper it, though she did shatter the yokai power base. Right now, reality sees her as a threat and is trying to remove her. And Ayane tells them that they can't lose her now. She just came back. Do something to save Rori. The spiders tell her that they are allies and they will do everything in their power to keep her safe. Elsewhere in Tokyo, though, a man begins watching the news reports of the battle that just took place, and while watching, the power goes out. The man shouts that the stupid power grid went out. Guess he'll just have to go to the cafe with his laptop. And then he notices his monitors and hands glowing. He reaches out to the monitors and suddenly the screens begin to come back on, though there is no power going to them. Back at the Dirt Spider's temple, Ohara stares into the forest and Nikiru checks on her asking if everything's okay. And she tells him with everything that's been happening, she wants to see her parents. And Nikiru tells her it's okay. They have responsibilities and family is one of hers. She should go back and see them and then just join them again. A short while later, Ohara runs home and walks into her apartment and tells everyone that she's home, but instead of welcoming her, her parents shout asking, what does she think she's doing? Ohara begins to apologize for being late, but her father stands up asking, who is she? And why does she have a key to their apartment? She tries to tell them not to yell, it's Emi, their daughter, but her father shouts that they have no daughter. What kind of prank is this? Ohara reaches back, touching the wall, stating, please, no, and then begins to create a tunnel all the way back down into the sewers and falls through it, telling herself, oh god. However, back with the man from before, he begins to walk down the streets, seeing the electricity, and it's like the whole city is pulsing, like a heartbeat, it's alive. As he turns down an alleyway, a group of Katsuni stop him, stating that they smell the stench of a newfound power mixed with fear. His young friends caused him much pain, and they intend to return it in kind. One Katsuni from the roof fires an arrow at the man and it begins to burn before reaching him. Another man then steps out, telling them not to be hasty. The new man turns to him and tells him that he can help him wield that power in a way that benefits them both. Over at the airport, a man is stopped by extra security, and he's taken back where he is set down and he asks what he's doing here. The security asks who he is, and he responds with Dermot Lane, and he's not leaving Japan until he finds his daughter. Back over at the Dirt Spider's temple, Ayane sits with Rori and she begins to scream and flail in pain. Ayane tries to calm her down, but the spiders begin wrapping her up, stating that Rori altered reality without understanding the repercussions. They will have to keep her from harming herself. All they can do is wait, but she can use her anger to help Nikki rout out the Katsuni hiding in Harajuku. As Ayane leaves, the spiders tell Shiri that he should go help as well, and he says that Rori saved his life, he's not about to leave. But as the spiders begin to leave, he hears crying coming from the outside and he finds Ohara crying. He asks her what happened and she says that she went home, but it was all wrong. Her parents didn't know who she was. How could this have happened? And Shiri looks away, stating he doesn't know, but he does. He was there when Rori altered reality, erasing Ohara from her family. Over in Harajuku, Nikki looks down on a crowd of people and begins to look into their emotions, trying to find the Katsuni. After locating them, Ayane appears, stating that she's here to help him and there's no time to waste, and she jumps down from the building shouting, it's playtime! One Katsuni starts to sneak up behind Ayane, but she flings her bat back, killing him, and then throws the body at another. She transforms into her cat form and appears behind another one, telling him boo, and then cracks him and flings his body away. One girl jumps on her, telling her that she's a little beast, isn't she? Then show her more, to which Ayane smiles and tells her, okay. The two begin exchanging swings, but through the fight, Ayane manages to kick the girl away while Nikki makes his way down. Two Katsuni begin to charge at Nikki, and then using the anger from the crowds, he channels it, causing the Katsuni's heads to explode. After witnessing that, the girl fighting Ayane yells, holy crap, okay, I surrender. Confused, Ayane says, what? And the girl says that she respects strength and they have proven theirs. So spare her and she will pledge her fealty to their cause. Or they can kill her here. Either way, her life is in their hands. Back at the temple, Rori begins to awake from her sleep and the spiders begin to untangle her. Shiri helps her up, asking if it was like last time. What did she see? And Rori says that she only saw flashes of possibilities, dangling threads, but all of them led to the same thing. War. But what Rori doesn't see is one of the smaller spiders crawling inside of her ear. Elsewhere in the temple, a woman sits stating that it is their time to take over, and she calls out that they don't have any time to waste, they need to gather the others. And back with Rori, she repeats the same thing. Ayane and the others walk in, and Ayane runs up hugging Rori, stating that she's been missing all the fun. They just fought a bunch of Kitsune and Harajuku, and one thought that they were so cool that she joined them. Her name is Inaba. Shiri argues that they should kill her, but while him and Inaba bicker, the woman as Rori tells them both to stop. If Ayane brought her here, let them hear what she has to say. Inaba tells them that the yokai fear them and their new order. Since her warriors spared her, her life is theirs. Inaba then explains that the Kitsune clans are in disarray, and the Genkoro are trying to gather his samurai foxes, and she knows where they are hiding, the Tokyo Tower. A short while later, Genkoro begins to gather his army and prepare for battle because Rori and her wayward children are already getting ready to strike. One of the Kitsune calls out for everyone to kill the red-haired one as she is their leader, but just as the samurai charge, the dirt spiders begin to crawl out from the ground, stomping them. Rori weaves through the battle until she grabs a hold of Genkoro by the neck and tells him that this young girl has a destiny far greater than to die by him. The dirt spiders protect her and her powers serve them. The word fly appears and the two of them shoot off towards the top of the tower, and Rori throws Genkoro through a window inside. As he starts to stand back up, Genkoro says that he can smell it now. The stench of the spider, Jorogumo. She has taken over the girl's mind. Jorogumo says yes. While she was asleep, this godling and her friends would build a future where his kind are but a distant memory. Down on the ground, the battle continues as Nikki tells Ohara to go after Shiri. He will stay out here with Ayane and Inaba. But as she runs into the building, she sees Shiri completely destroying the Kitsune. One Kitsune swings down on Ohara, but she turns her hand into metal, catching the blade. And then she redirects the tip of the blade and fires it through the Kitsune's mouth. As the body falls, Ohara asks Shiri if he enjoys this, because he really looks like he is. And he tells her, of course, these assholes tried to kill us, you know. However, back up top, the weave begins to appear and the ribbons grab a hold of Genkoro and begin slamming him into the window as Jorogumo tells him to look at his future. Look at it! And then the word fire appears. Soon the entire Tokyo Tower, along with all of the Kitsune, begin to burn until the Kitsune are nothing but ash. Ohara watches as everyone and everything is burning, and she says, all of this is horrifying. The fire begins to die down, and Nikki looks over asking Inaba if this bothers her, seeing her kin die like this, and she tells him no. They were weak and obsolete anyway. Ayane calls out to Rori as she floats down, and as Ayane catches her, Rori says that she doesn't quite feel right. Where are they? And then she falls back asleep. Back at the temple, Jorogumo awakes from her channeling as the spiders bring her some substance to regain her strength. As she sucks the life from the person wrapped up, she says that they finally have the upper hand. The strings of fate have been woven and the spiders will be at its center. Back out in the city, the Nuriri Hayan watches the tower burn, and the man from before, Segawa, sends him a message asking if he's seeing what's going on. The net is freaking out, but instead of texting back, Nuriri Haya just calls him asking if he can tell him about this internet thing. The next day, the Nururahayan and Segawa walk discussing how Segawa can feel the network. And he says, yeah, it's totally awesome. All he needs is an interface like his phone and he can send and receive anything that he wants. The Nururahaya tells him that he's pleased to see his progress, but he wants to bring him somewhere special. Because his newfound ability to contact and influence networks, he wants to see if they can take it a bit further. The two of them walk into a warehouse where the Nururahaya says that this is the Loom, a magic-powered machine that can perceive the strings of fate, and he wants Segawa to connect him to it. As the weeks begin to pass, Rori and the others continue their path of destroying the yokai strongholds, leaving nothing but destruction in their wake. And back at Nururahaya's warehouse, after 4 weeks of channeling, Segawa falls back after being shocked by the Loom. The Nururahaya runs over to check on him, asking if he's okay, and Segawa just tells him that he made contact. This is the mother of all networks, so what is it that he wants to know? Back at the temple, Rori begins to wake from another battle, and Shiri tells her that this is getting crazy. They go out and fight, and then she collapses and sleeps for about a week. She can't keep doing this. Rori tells him that they are winning the war. Isn't that good enough? But as he walks away, he tells her that he isn't sure anymore. Once outside, Ohara follows him, stating that she doesn't want him to be alone, but Shiri tells her that he's never actually alone. He's always haunted. As she hugs him, Shiri says, wait. He has never told her the truth. He knows why her parents forgot about her, because he was there. He then tells her how Rori used her powers to wipe their minds of Ohara. He thinks that she was trying to protect her so that they wouldn't see her in danger. Ohara falls to her knees asking, oh God, why? It's all gone. Rori ruined my life. But then they hear a voice telling them, yes, all is ruined. The two look up to see a floating spirit, and Shiri tells it to stay back, or what the spirit says, or what, you'll destroy me? Good, because death is what what I desire. The spirit begins to attack, shooting eyeballs, and Shiri and Ohara begin to defend themselves. The spirit tells them that it can see the changes in fate. The age of the yokai is over, so complete his journey and send him into forever. Shiri shouts that he's had enough, and he jumps forward, punching the spirit's eyes, creating a massive explosion. As the dust settles, Shiri says the spirit is still there, and then it begins to fly into his mouth. His eyes begin to glow, and he says that its power is inside of him. He can see everything, and he can see that the spiders are infesting them, trying to take over. Elsewhere, the Nirio Heian and Segawa visit the Japan Ministry of Defense to meet with the minister and the vice minister. The Nirio Haya tells him that he is here to talk with them about the future of the yokai and the future of Japan. But as it begins to set fire to the office, he says that he knows about the person they detained from the airport, and he was hoping to use him as a bargaining chip, so they should make a deal. Back in the streets, Ayane and Inaba head over to where the next yokai den is, and as they arrive, Ayane notices that there isn't any Kappa around, so maybe they should shape change and take a look. As Inaba changes into a fox, Ayane says, "Holy crap, you're adorable!" And Inaba tells her to shut up. Let's go. The cats and Inaba begin to sniff around, and Inaba says that she smells it too. Something isn't right, and as the cats poke their heads into the holes of the building, they see Japanese soldiers, and one shouts fire. Bullets begin pouring out of the building, hitting the cats and Inaba, and as the soldiers come out, the cats begin attacking as Inaba changes back, cutting away. After reappearing, Ayane grabs one of the soldiers' guns and shoots it back at him, and Inaba continues cutting away until she finally cuts the head off of the last soldier. Inaba says that they knew that they were coming, and Ayane says they need to get back to the temple. However, back at the temple, the Japanese soldiers are already gathering, and the Nirio Hana steps out from one of the armored vehicles, looking at the temple as Rori steps out to face them. Over in Joroguma's location, the spiders tell her the military is moving on their location, but before they can escape, Shiri stands before them. The spiders tell him to move aside, and Ohara tells them that they're not taking any more orders from them, and Shiri grabs Joroguma by the throat, telling her that he sees all of the strings that she's pulling. Before striking her, Joroguma tells him that his friends are being surrounded at the temple, and then Shiri notices, not just that, the soldiers are here as well. The smoke grenade bounces into the room, and the bullets begin to fly through, hitting Joroguma, and Ohara grabs onto Shiri, pulling him down into the ground. The soldiers begin to secure Joroguma, and below them, Shiri and Ohara wait. Back at the temple, the Nirio Heian call out to Rori, stating that he knows that she's confused and wants to lash out, but she must wait and be patient. There is someone also here who's dying to see her, and Rori realizes who that is. From the walls, Ayane and Inaba appear, shouting, "Surprise! Give them hell, kitty cats!" And they start the fight, and Segawa begins to control one of the tanks and begins firing it at Inaba. Through the confusion, Rory's dad, Dermot, breaks free as Ayane's cats attack the Nirio Heian. The rest of the cats begin attacking the rest of the soldiers as Inaba takes down Segawa. Seeing as the fight isn't going in his way, the Nirio Heian picks up his hat and tells himself the past is gone. The future is unclear, and he walks off. Through the smoke, Rori asks if she is the one who did all of this, and then Dermot appears, telling her that he's not leaving without her. She tells him that she's so sorry, and the letters begin to glow on her arm, and he holds out his hand, telling her that there is nothing to worry about, and the letters begin to glow on his hand. He tells her that her dad's got a plan. They're going somewhere safe. A light begins to shine, and Ayane jumps on the back of Rori, and a ball of light begins to shine bright, and then Rori wakes up in a field. Ayane tells her not to worry. No matter what happens, she will protect her, and Rori leans up, asking, "Where are they?" Dermot says, "Me lovin' daughter dear, you don't recognize it. We're in Ireland, silly girl." And that concludes Volume 3 of Wayward. It is getting crazy! If you have no idea what's going on, then you need to check out the first two parts, because that will explain quite a bit of what's happening in this one. But now, instead of getting to our usual closer, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Comicstorian, and stick around, as our friend Faust from It's Super Effective is going to explain some more of the Japanese lore that Jim Zub is using in his amazing story. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.
Hi, I'm Faust from It's Super Effective, and I'm going to explain some of the Japanese mythology in Wayward to you. So as Volume 3 starts out, Rori is actually being looked after by a clan of spiders. So these spiders are actually the Tushigumo, which is literally a clan of spiders. Their first appearance was around the 14th century. It's also a derogatory term for a person to use about another person's family. So the Tushigumo have gone from being a spider but with spider legs, the body of a tiger and a human's face, to just a really big spider, and if you slice it open, a bunch of other spiders will fall out, and so will a bunch of human heads. So with that taken into account, it's no surprise that there were actually parasites in Wayward, but who was that lady that led all of them? She is called the Jorogumo, or literally translated into English, spider whore, which is why she was called whore spider in Wayward. This being is sometimes a spider and sometimes a seductive woman. She would literally hang around forests and then find like a nice man and would be like, "Hey, come back to me to my cabin." And the man would be like, "Okay," thinking he was gonna have sex. and then she'd wrap him up in her web and then eat him next time she got hungry. In other legends, sometimes she lures in a samurai and actually sleeps with the samurai, and 9 months later gives birth to a whole swarm of spiders instead of a baby, which is terrifying. So what about that swarm of eyes? Well, that's actually really confusing to explain because there's nothing quite like it in Japanese mythology. The only thing like it is the moku mokuren, which was essentially a paper sliding door, but it had a bunch of eyes in it, and the only way to get the spirit out of your paper sliding door was to punch holes in it. And it could also be in tatami mats. This ghost essentially exists in Japanese Haunted Houses 101. If you go to a haunted house in Japan, you're gonna see something representing this to give you a bit of a spook. I could be totally off base here because, like I said, it is just an adaptation, so some things are changed, and this is a huge change, so maybe it's something based off of Celtic mythology, because obviously at the end of the story, they end up going to Ireland. But for now, that's it for my part of the video, so I encourage all of you to look into Wayward and Japanese mythology for yourself because I love both of them. Wayward Volume 3 is definitely the best volume out of all of them so far, in my opinion. I really like it, but also don't forget to come on over to my channel and subscribe. This week I've got the history of Galactus going up, so I'm sure all of you will enjoy that.